Hello fellow viewer who has clicked on this video. We regret to inform you that Wooden Sword is currently doing some very important business on somebody else's channel. However, if you're willing to wait, we will take you there this instant. Okay, enough waiting, let's go!
Well, that lead was a complete dud. Shows what you get for believing the word of a rogue changeling.
What are we even doing? Are we trying to find someone or something somewhere?
I've been tracking a gang of rogue changelings for the past couple of months. From what I've gathered, they refused to change after Chrysalis was overthrown and went out on their own. There's this one that I call Sneaky who got his hose on one of my scripts and posed as me for an entire video. I think he was just having some fun, but I need to be sure. It's incredibly frustrating because anyone I talk to could be part of the gang.
I could be part of the gang.
Well, not you specifically, but a member of the gang could be posing as you.
Wait, are you saying that a member of the gang is posing as me, posing as a member of the gang pretending to be me? Or a member of the gang posing me as a member of the me,
You're overthinking it. Why did I even ask you to help me with this?
Because I had more subscribers than you?
Way to rub it in. At any rate, I won't be going anywhere until I get another lead.
Me neither. And I've got no work to do to keep me busy either. Do you have anything I could help with in the meantime?
Well, I've been meaning to review a royal problem for a while, and I suppose now's as good a time as any.
Alright then, I'll help you with that. I've been behind on season 7 anyways.
Alright then, let the madness begin! So, this episode starts off, what the hell?
I can't believe it either! The map has never called me before.
Well, I personally don't have a problem with it. I like Starlight quite a lot.
Yeah, I like her too, but that doesn't mean that this is a good idea. I can't tell if they're giving her special attention, which is a terrible way to develop a character, or if they're setting up the possibility of secondary characters being called.
I prefer the latter. This is also the first time that only one pony has been called, which might open up some solo adventures for other characters, main 6 or not.
That's true. In fact, this scenario would be brought up again in Triple Threat, when Spike was called to solve a problem in Ponyville. However, that doesn't completely alleviate my concerns. For all we know, the map could simply be calling Starlight and Spike because they live in the castle.
In this episode, Twilight constantly watches over Starlight, trying to convince herself that nothing bad has happened and trying to help out even when she wasn't called. But from what we've seen thus far, friendship problems always turn out fine in the end thanks to the map, regardless of what they do, like fate. But does that mean it was fate for Twilight to constantly try to intervene? Let's say she didn't try to interrupt. Would Starlight have still succeeded in her task because there was no interruption? Or was Twilight a necessity towards it all? I mean, if you think about it like that, then maybe if Twilight was called, then her and Starlight wouldn't have had the necessary conversations in order to sort out the problem.
Well, considering the context of Twilight and Starlight's conversations, I don't think Twilight actually needed to be there. Most of the ideas that Starlight came up with, she did so on her own, from hearing Luna's side of the story, to confronting the royal sisters, to switching their cutie marks. It makes sense from a storytelling perspective, as the audience would need something to get an idea of what Starlight was thinking. But considering the plot as a whole, she isn't all that necessary.
Yeah, that's probably the main reason as to why Twilight was there, actually. That also probably means that any other future episodes where the map only calls one person will need someone else anyways, so we know what's happening. Unless it's a less tense situation where thoughts can be freely spoken without fear of instant execution.
Speaking of tense situations, I've got to say I love how Starlight approaches this situation. She saw the disconnection between the two sisters, heard both sides of the story, came to a conclusion, and then confronted both in order to properly address the problem. Take notes, kids. This is a textbook example of how to handle situations like this.
Something very interesting about this episode is that we see the complete and utter power of the Royal Sisters. This is shown when Luna chomps a raw pineapple. Personally, that's 2 times harder for me as I don't like regular pineapple anyways.
Well, they are horses. I don't pretend to know much about them, but I'm pretty sure they have really strong teeth.
If her teeth are that strong, then she should just eat the pancakes in one bite and go to bed. Instead, she continues to torture herself with pineapples. Pineapples haunt her dreams, her nightmares. Everywhere she goes, there are pineapples.
Oh, come on. She stopped torturing herself 2 seasons ago.
Yes, she no longer tortures herself about being Nightmare Moon, but Pineapple Moon still lives.
And Deputy says I've got issues.
That's because you do have issues.
Shut up, Deputy!
Well, anyways, the Royal Sisters conflict is something that I've thought about before this episode. They both have 2 very different jobs, so it makes sense that they'd barely see each other. And when they do, they would have very different downtimes. It was a good choice to have the conflict be about this, as it makes perfect sense why tension could rise in their situation.
Actually, this is a good time to bring up another problem I have with the episode. The story's basic structure isn't all that original. I can't think of any stories that have used this setup off the top of my head, but two people think that their job is the hardest and that the other has it easier, so they switch jobs for a day and find that they are ill-suited for the other's task. Come on, you know you've seen this done before. It's not a problem for me personally, as I've always seen a story's execution being more important than its originality, but I can see it getting on some people's nerves.
It's not a problem for me, as I think it was shown in an interesting and exciting way, them being the two royal sisters and all. Hell, I loved a heartwarming tale, but a lot of people didn't like that because it was just a retelling of an already existing tale. This isn't the retelling of a tale, but it's a story concept nonetheless. However, I still liked it.
I have mixed feelings about Starlight's solution of switching the cutie marks. Relying on a magical solution to solve a problem has been shown to be her weakness in the past. It's shown here to be done out of instinct, which could imply that she still hasn't moved on from that. But there are two factors that counterbalance it for me. The first being that she followed Luna around all day to help lessen any unintentional side effects, and the second being that she at least tried to get Celestia and Luna to talk it out. And it's not like she didn't show any remorse for her actions. A mild irritation, but it's short-lived.
I was a bit confused by it too, but that is meant to be one of the points of the episode, which is whether Starlight made the right choice. Hell, she has a conversation with Twilight straight after where they start wondering if it was really the right thing to do. Of course, the situation was always going to seem dire, especially since the sisters' personalities are so different. That also makes the job harder when they switch around.
Exactly. With Luna being more introverted, it makes perfect sense that she'd be less capable of handling Celestia's public appearances and looking like me during rush hour at work. Look at that face. That is the face of someone who wants to GTFO ASAP.
This is something the episode really excels in, which is the reactions of the two sisters to each other's jobs. They both act accordingly to how they should, and there's a clear problem arising when they take on each other's roles. This was my favorite part of the episode, especially Luna's part.
I love how Celestia acts all high and mighty when she finds out that Luna had a hard time doing her job. It's such a childish and petty way to act, yet it's exactly how a sibling would behave in this situation, regardless of age. Ask me how I know.
Alright then, how do you know?
I've got 9 siblings. Trust me, I know.
9? Well, I guess you could say your family has 9 lives.
That doesn't make any sense. If I've got 9 siblings, that means there are 10 kids. Your logic skills really suck.
More like my logic skills really swallow.
How is that funny?
I don't know, you agreed to put it in the script.
I give up. So Celestia goes into the dreamscape and starts talking to herself, which, if memory serves, is the first sign of madness, and finds Starlight having a nightmare about the events of the past few days. Wait, why is she surrounded by pancakes? I know she said she felt bad about eating them, but this is taking her guilt complex to a ridiculous level.
Well, she is a pretty guilt-driven character. Plus, at least it's pancakes and not, you know...
What?
Pineapples, pineapples, pineapples everywhere!
Oh look, Nightmare Moon's back. Oh man, having this character come back is always a treat.
Yes, but can you handle me?
10 out of 10, best episode ever. Good night, everybody!
Huh? That's it? The review's over? But it's not even nighttime! No, I'm bringing this back.
10 out of 10, best episode. Wait, what? What happened? Didn't I just say that? Why isn't the review over? Sword, did you rewind the video?
I don't see how I could have done that. After all, the timestamp is still moving forward. You must be mistaken.
Well, anyway, Daybreaker and Nightmare Moon hashing out is pure eye candy. The idea itself is so interesting. Like Celestia could have beaten Nightmare Moon without the elements, but couldn't because she would turn to the dark side or something. Though, is it just me, or did Luna's detractors take over the writing for a minute?
Ugh, so much black. We get it, you're sad. You could really use some sun!
The fight is very entertaining, but of course, there's a discussion going on in the middle of the fight. Still, the fight is very symbolic and could even be considered some sort of vision of the future if things don't come to a resolution quick enough. But if there was ever another episode like the Cutie Remark, could there possibly be an alternate universe where Celestia is taken over as Daybreaker and Luna is actually the hero? Oh god, it's all a bunch of fanfictions coming together.
There's a popular headcanon flying around that Daybreaker is a manifestation of Celestia's fear of what she might become. Like the Nightmare Moon incident scared her so much that she started worrying that it could happen to her. While I like this idea, there's 2 big problems with it. The first being that this episode clearly establishes that this is Starlight's dream, not Celestia's. And the second problem being that Celestia isn't actually asleep. We know this because if Luna was asleep while she was traversing the dreamscape, she wouldn't come into the breakfast hall every morning feeling tired and in need of rest. It's a fun idea, there's just too many obstacles for it to be credible.
Unless somehow Starlight managed to get it into Celestia's head when she was switching the cutie marks?
That seems highly unlikely.
Oi, we're in a fandom. The most unlikely things can be used as reasons to create completely alternate universes. That's what fan fiction is for.
And I thought this couldn't get any weirder.
All aboard the Pineapple Mobile! We're going to Catalan, let's go!
So Celestia realizes that she can't handle this situation on her own, so she goes to find Luna to help solve the problem. I don't think I would have thought of that in her situation. Congratulations, Celestia! You have earned the Technically Best Princess Award! Again!
You get a free toaster! As soon as the review's over, of course.
That smile's too wide. It's obviously not real.
Yeesh, I didn't think I'd find a group of kids scarier than my younger siblings.
I have your magic, remember? It doesn't work in the dream realm. It has to be you.
Luna?
You can do anything in a dream, remember?
Anything you can do in your dreams, you can do now.
I'm just saying.
Well, it was good to finally see Luna being the strong one and teaching Celestia to be as strong as her. It's like as their cutie marks and jobs changed, so did their roles as big and little sister. Then again, if Luna had gone to Celestia for help with her chores, I'm sure Celestia could have been the bigger person and helped her go through it. Too bad she would have been laughing at her instead.
Yeah, including that would have just painted Celestia in a bad light. She hadn't had the chance to see how difficult Luna's job was in that point in the story, and we'd probably get another Nightmare Moon situation. Only, I think I'd be sympathizing with Luna this time.
The fight sorta ends in an anticlimactic way though, with Celestia simply saying enough is enough and accepting she won't become this. But it does make sense as to why she would end it this way. Plus, because it was Starlight's dream, this fight very well could have gone on forever with no victor until she woke up. So it did end in the right way, but just not a very explosive way. Unlike...
I thought it was a nice touch to have Celestia return to the real world and be met with Luna with pancakes. It shows that Luna has come to appreciate what her sister did for her every morning. It's just too bad that she can't cook for Also, Celestia being honest with the pancakes is quality.
Well, it's the thought that counts. It really is one of the better endings I've seen this season, mainly because the relationship between the two sisters is so strong. So there's more possibility to show how much they care for each other. And it's really charming to see them lying down together to greet Starlight and tell her everything's okay. And when Starlight sees that she's done the right thing and everything is back to normal, it's a good little heartwarming moment. Overall, the ending is just touching.
A Royal Problem is definitely a contender for the best episode of the season. The biggest strength of the episode is the portrayal of the royal sisters behaving exactly like real siblings, not properly communicating, wanting to get a win over the other in rather petty ways, acting cocky when they think they've been proven right, and reconciling when they realize that they're both in the wrong. Starlight's unbiased approach to this situation sets a really good example for both adults and kids, and the cherry on top of the cake is the Nightmare Moon and Daybreak fight. The only real problems I have with it are the plot hole with Luna not being able to join the fight, and Starlight being called by the map. The latter just seems like a cheap excuse to give her special attention, which is the last thing the writer should be doing right now considering her precarious situation in the fandom. She could have just as easily gone to Canterlot for a vacation or something, and the story would have remained largely unchanged. But if they're taking it in the direction I think they're taking it, and they're introducing the possibility of secondary characters being called, it may just be the most ingenious move the writers have ever made. Think of all the character combinations we could have. Twilight and Trixie, Applejack and Big Mac, Fluttershy and the CMC, the possibilities are endless.
I would love to see that, especially Twilight and Trixie. But yeah, this episode is a highlight of Season 7. The themes are presented strongly, and that sibling connection between the two sisters is truly believable. Starlight's inclusion through the map could be considered cheap, but I think she really was the perfect character to use, as not only were the sisters learning, but Starlight learnt along with them. Plus, it was definitely interesting to see Starlight and the sisters with their own episode, and not something already done like Twilight and the sisters. But even an episode about the sisters was enough to get me interested, as we've never had that before. Plus, the ending was very heartwarming. This episode, although maybe not the best of Season 7, really was a treat. But hey, I haven't even seen the rest, so what do I know?
I'm Officer.
I haven't even seen the rest, so what do I know?
Hey, that's my line!
It's an internet review, who cares?
Alright, that's it. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Objection! I have evidence to disprove your claims. Let's see here. Ah, take that!
Yeah, a higher subcount. You hyperactive kangaroo. I'm gonna skin you alive and sell you to the highest bidder.
Tell your story walking, pal. Now get out of my channel.
You dirty Aussie. I promise you'll do time for this.
And you stay out until we collab again. Well, that was fun. I'm Wooden Sword. And pineapples everywhere!